Hi, here's a story that was taken and rewritten, but is based on a story written by James Joyce entitled A Painful Case. It has been modified and updated. It is called Was It Love? Clark Waddle lived in Spokane for two reasons. He wanted to live in Washington State, but also wanted to live as far away from the Pacific Ocean as possible. He didn't trust oceans. He lived in a small one-story house on the north side of the Spokane River. From his back window, he could see a grove of ponderosa pines. When the west winds blew, the tall pines swayed and danced in the mighty breeze. The house was painted beige with worn brown shingles on its roof. Inside Clark's house, the furniture, walls, and carpet were all beige. It was as if the person who painted the outside of his house decided that beige matched beige. Clark's dark brown hair, straight, with long, heavy bangs, looked as if it had not been cut in 9 months. For the last few years, Clark had been a clerk at the Chase Bank in downtown Spokane. Every morning, he took bus number 22 into the plaza. For lunch, he often ordered a turkey sandwich at Jimmy John's. He liked to ask for his sandwich to go so that he could sit under a tree and watch the ducks by the river. He liked the music of Mozart, and whenever the Spokane Symphony played Mozart, he attended the concert. Clark did not have friends and did not have family in town. Every Christmas, he visited his parents in Everett. These visits only lasted for 2 days. One unusually warm day in May, while Clark ate his turkey sandwich by the river, he noticed a young woman sitting not far from him. She was also eating a turkey sandwich from Jimmy John's. When she noticed that he was looking at her, she gave him a small smile and then turned back to her sandwich. Clark noticed her face. It was round with large brown eyes. Her nose was small and pointy. After that day, the weather turned cold and rainy. Clark decided to eat his sandwiches indoors. When the warm weather returned, Clark got his sandwich to go and returned to his favorite spot by the river. Before he reached the river, Clark noticed the very same young woman. She was contentedly eating a sandwich and reading a newspaper. He walked up to her, umbrella in one hand, in case the large white clouds decided to dump rain on his lunch, and a Jimmy John's bag in the other. He said, "Hello," and began to talk about some of the local events in the newspaper. She turned to look at him and seemed happy that he was talking to her. She moved over on the bench to allow him a place to sit. This was the first time they met. Every day, weather permitting, for the entire summer, they met for lunch at that same bench in the park. Once, she mentioned her husband. An electric car glided silently to a stop and parked near the river. She looked up from her sandwich to say, "That looks exactly like my husband's car." Then she squinted toward the road as if talking to herself, said, "No, it's not him." Her name was Emily Van Dorn. By the time the maple trees around Manitou Park were turning bright shades of yellow, red, yellow, and orange, Clark and Emily were meeting for lunch every day. Emily invited Clark to her cabin by the lake. They spent a few weekends hidden away in a remote corner of northern Idaho. Just a bit farther from the Pacific Ocean, Clark commented. Clark brought records of Mozart sonatas and played them on her old record player. She would tilt her head as if to show that she was trying to understand why he loved such old music. These trips lasted until a very rainy day in late November, when Clark told her that their relationship must end. He was standing in front of her, umbrella open in one hand and a Jimmy John's bag in the other. Ducks wandered past them. Emily looked deep into Clark's eyes and then at the brown ducks. One duck was busy picking at a breadcrumb. Then, looking back into his eyes, she quickly said, "Goodbye, then." Clark could see tears filling her large eyes. He feared that he would begin to cry as well. Both lovers felt the inevitable end in their goodbye embrace, and then they separated. 4 years passed. On one unseasonably warm day in May, Clark went into Jimmy John's to order his usual turkey sandwich. A newspaper had been left on the table, and he picked it up on his way out the door. Sitting by the river, he glanced through the Spokesman Review until his eyes stumbled upon a headline that read, "Death of a Woman at the Jefferson Park and Ride." He stopped eating his sandwich. His mouth turned dry as he read of the hit-and-run accident that left a woman dead. A car had run a red light and raced off the road, hitting her as she waited for the bus. At 8:53 Monday night, an unidentified vehicle ran a red light and veered off the road, hitting a woman. Emily Van Dorn, age 45, was taken to Sacred Heart, where doctors tried to stabilize her condition. If you or anyone you know has information about the hit-and-run driver, please contact 582-993-9381 immediately. Clark dropped the newspaper. He closed his eyes and listened. The afternoon was silent. He listened again. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He felt that he was alone. The end.